Podcast Answer Man, episode number 70.
This show is sponsored by AG Design.
Need a new website, logo, or artwork for your podcast? Visit ageedesign.com/podcast today.
For a 20% discount, be sure to mention the Podcast Answer Man.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Podcast Answer Man. My name is Cliff Ravenscraft, and of course, this is the podcast where we answer all of your questions regarding podcasting. Well, if I am not able to answer them, at least what I'll do is I'll ask your question and say, I don't know, and then I'll ask you guys to help me provide the answer. And then we'll all come together, be this awesome community of new media podcasting personalities that are in this thing together. That's what this podcast is all about. So welcome back to the show. Now, as you guys are aware, we've been doing a series of just me probably trying to catch up with a ton of comments and basically just trying to get into all the questions and answers and feedback that you guys have been leaving over the last couple of weeks as I've been just, going to PodCamp Ohio and recording other sessions and really not paying a lot of attention to all the stuff that was building up. And so here I am in the studio once again trying to clear out my inbox. And so here is an email, it was an email that I got from a friend of mine named Stefan, and he sent me a audio file attached as an MP3. So here's what Stefan had to say. That device is not.
All right, I'm going to go ahead and turn this down just a little bit a second, Cliff. I'm listening to the latest edition of the Podcast Answer Man, and I just wanted to point out that I'm glad to see the H2 Zoom is back up there in the 1 and 2 spot. I mean, obviously it's not going to be number one because of there are some limitations to it. But when I bought this H2 Zoom, I wasn't expecting a whole lot, especially when you pop it out. It kind of looks like the Star Trek version of a mobile device. If everybody, when it goes, that little thing that Captain Kirk used to pull out. But anyway, I have since taken this on several different trips of mine to interview different people, and they are thoroughly impressed with not only the size but the quality and the fact that it can record WAV files, MP3, and surround sound, and for all under the price of $200. And this is a podcasting tip, and I've heard other people do this, and I've done this myself late at night inside my garage. I don't have a soundproof room, so when I record things in my bedroom or record things in my office space or anywhere, what happens is I do get a little echo. So what I've discovered, and I think you've mentioned this before, and I forgot which episode it was, I've discovered that probably the best, most inexpensive sound room that you could possibly ever record anything in is your car. And I'll tell you why. If you look inside your car, most of everybody's car has some type of upholstery, and if you sit in the back seat, you get the added benefits of the upholstery. And why this is important is because the upholstery and the carpeting, if you want to call it that, or the texture or the fabric that is used in cars is absorbent, which means it absorbs the audio waves just like it would absorb coffee if you spill it on the floorboard. And what that means is less bounce, and you get a richer, more deeper sound as opposed to the echo. But anyway, podcaster tip number one is just record. If you're going to record audio and you don't have a sound room and you want rich and you don't want the echo in your voice, just record it in your car. You could pull it in your garage. If you don't have a garage, just sit outside and just close up the car. You don't have to have it running. I mean, obviously if it's hot, you might want to put the air conditioning on, but for the most part, you will get a good quality audio. And the great thing about it is you didn't pay a dime for it. No expensive soundproofing, no big room, nothing like that. So just there's a podcasting tip. And Cliff, keep up the good work. I really like the fact that you're doing these webinars and you've broken them up the way you have. That's really a cool thing, and I think a lot of people are going to jump on board with that. Good luck, best of luck from Greenville, South Carolina. This is Stefan. See you later.
Stefan, thank you so much, my friend, for calling in. And yes, that is an awesome podcasting tip. It is something I think, it's been about a year or so since I shared that last on the podcast Answer Man. But your car is a wonderful sound studio. It is a great place to go. In fact, there was a time back when I came into the basement down here, and I saw my knobs and my wires messed with by my children all the time. I really considered basically running an extension cord out to my car and setting up a permanent fixture of my equipment in the car and sitting in the back seat and having that be my studio. This was back in the old days. And finally, what I did is I basically, in essence, said, okay, enough of this. I'm going to put a wall up. Now, I do agree. If you can get your equipment into the car, your car does make a wonderful soundproof studio. But the other thing I'll tell you is, of course, you're listening to me now. The room that I'm in, if you're actually watching, there are 56 people watching me live right now on Ustream.tv. And just look around here, folks. You notice there is absolutely no foam on my walls, no carpeting on the walls or on the ceiling. The only thing I have is carpeting on the floor, but you don't hear any echo. You don't hear any bouncing off the walls in here. So in essence, what I'm doing is and if you're watching me on the video, you know that I'm pretty much right up on my microphone. I mean, I have my Heil PR40 and I have the shock mount, and then I have a specially designed pop filter that goes right in front of the microphone. And I would say I'm probably no more than 2 inches away from my microphone, which means that I turn the gain on my microphone down much lower than the average person would normally do. And that's because I don't want to pick up the echo of my voice off the walls. Instead, I want to be able to just be right up on the microphone and let the microphone get everything that it needs to pick up and nothing more. So that's another tip there as well. Now, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we have somebody that wants to dial in and ask a live question. And we've never done this on the podcast Answer Man, but we're going to do it now. So let's see who is on the line. All right, so who do we have on the line?
This is Vicki Cyphers up in Mason.
Vicki, I am so glad to have you are the first live caller, I believe. I could be wrong, but I do believe you're the first live caller for the podcast Answer Man show.
Oh, wow. I feel honored.
So you have a question, something about RSS feeds. Is that correct?
Yes. My husband and I are setting up to do several different podcasts and trying to get an RSS feed, because I think that's really what we need. They had a great description at PodCamp Ohio was, without an RSS feed, you're just audio on a website.
That is absolutely correct.
I like that. So I want to set up some RSS feeds, and of course that's how you get connected and stay connected with your audience. I didn't know if I needed one for each podcast that I'm going to do, for each topic, one for my site. Do I need one for the different, like for iTunes or Flip TV or all these different ones, or how that works?
Well, okay, that is a very awesome question, and I am going to go ahead and answer that for you. The first thing I will tell you is that you will need a separate podcast feed, separate RSS feed for each individual podcast that you produce. And so now, what are you going to be doing to create your websites? Are you going to create them personally, or are you going to use WordPress?
I'm not using WordPress. We created it ourselves.
Okay. One of the things that I would suggest that you consider is either making a sub page off of your web page that you are. I mean, if you're really tied into the design that you have and the way that you're creating your website, your page, then what I would suggest doing is creating a WordPress installation in the background that will basically be the content management system of your podcast. And then, of course, you can just embed the audio on your standard website. But however, I'm going to suggest even against that, because it's going to become a nightmare to continually update your website. I have a lot of clients who have attempted to use Dreamweaver or to use iWeb and to use all of these other tools out there to create a website and then update it manually via FTP. It's just not as conducive to doing podcasting, especially if you're going to do more than one. So let me just explain to you real quickly how WordPress works. WordPress, or any of the other blog content management systems out there, they automatically have RSS feeds included in them.
Oh, that's good to know. We are using CMS Made Simple.
Yeah. What I would do is I would use WordPress or some other version of software out there that creates RSS feeds automatically. And if I can guarantee you that if I were to have the opportunity for 20 minutes to have you sign into one of my shared screens, where I can show you on my screen how easy it is for me to how easy it is to produce a podcast episode and put it up on the web and put it into my podcast feed by simply choosing one of the many categories that I have under one WordPress installation, and how it automatically posts that to not only the category page, but to the archive page and many other pages automatically on the fly, and it automatically updates the RSS for that category, for that subcategory, for the main site. And so it updates multiple different RSS feeds all at the same time. It would just blow you away. In fact, I had a guy last night that called me, and he wanted some consulting work, and he just paid a couple $100 for the latest version of Dreamweaver with all the bells and whistles. And he created a website that had no RSS. And he sat there and he says, Cliff, now how do I get my RSS to work? And so I said, Dreamweaver is really nice. It's a great program, and it's really easy to do stuff with. But let me show you WordPress real quick. Can I just show it to you? And he said, yeah. And at the end of 25 minutes on the phone and showing him my desktop screen of how easy it was for me to put out an episode of a podcast, and then I showed him how quickly it was available in iTunes right after I hit the publish button, he says, I want that.
Right.
And I said, well, WordPress is free. And he goes, I just spent a couple $100 on this thing. I said, well, at least you didn't spend a couple more months of your time trying to create podcast with that. Right. Now, the thing is if you want to, you could always, hide the WordPress in the background. But yes, you are going to need RSS for each podcast that you produce. So if you have more than one topic or more than one show, you'll need one RSS feed. Now, there is a problem out there that is happening today in the podcasting world, and it's called feed confusion. With all these different places you can upload your content to, you can, especially when it comes to little video clips, you might record a 5-minute video clip that you want to put into your podcast, and it goes out as a video podcast episode. And then you can upload it to blip.tv, and you can upload it to YouTube, and you can upload it to, what's that other one? Well, just the hundreds of other ones. And every one of those come with their own RSS feeds. And the problem is that if somebody finds your site or your content from one of those other sites, chances are they might think that, well, this is where you post your content on a regular basis. And they will... In essence, they will subscribe to the RSS feed, let's say at blip.tv. Right. Well, the truth is that I have a blip.tv account, and if somebody subscribes to my blip.tv account, the truth is that they will hardly ever get an episode from me. So they might think, oh my gosh, who's this guy? He posts one awesome video up here, maybe one awesome video every 2 or 3 months, and that's it? When in essence, I'm putting out 5 episodes a day out of my studio. And they have no idea because they found an RSS that I don't control. So that's one thing I hate about all these different services. I wish every one of them would give me the option to say, you know what, let me redirect or let me give you the information of what RSS feed I want them to subscribe to when they click on the subscribe button. And then I would give them my one RSS feed that I create, that I'm in control of. And so I used to use a service called TalkShoe, and TalkShoe wanted me to come over and bring all my content over to them, and it took me forever to convince them to take away the RSS feed on my TalkShoe page, and it finally happened. And so the thing is that I don't want too many RSS feeds associated with my content, because what I have to do, and one way to kind of handle the situation that arises like that, is sometimes you need to think, okay, where have I placed my content that has an RSS feed out there? It might be a good idea to do a 30-second video that you simply sit in front of your little camera and say, hi, my name's Cliff Ravenscraft, and I'm the producer of GSPN.TV and all the content that, I produce 17, 18 different podcasts. If you are viewing this, that means you are subscribed to an RSS feed that I do not control. And if that happens to be the case, you may be wondering, where's the rest of the content? Well, the truth is I release content on a consistent basis. In fact, I release several episodes every single day. However, I have my own RSS feeds that you probably need to unsubscribe to this one and subscribe to the correct one that you can find over at gspn.tv/subscribe. Thanks for listening. And then basically upload that to all of those other places.
That's a great idea.
Yep.
Now you've got your name there, which is what you wanted.
Exactly.
And you always want to pull people back to your website.
Exactly.
No matter what you're doing.
So the goal is like you're saying, you don't want to avoid putting your content out on all these other places, because guess what? There are communities there and people will find your content. But you just need to be sure that you basically are not losing any potential ongoing subscribed members of the community.
Right.
Cool. So does that help you? I mean, you'll need one RSS feed for each podcast, and that one RSS feed is what you submit to iTunes, and it's the one thing that you submit to all the podcast directories to list your feed in. It's the one RSS feed that everybody will click on to subscribe if they want to use something other than iTunes, but one RSS feed per podcast.
Per podcast. And that will be, okay.
Yep, and if you use WordPress or any other content management systems out there, they will automatically produce those RSS feeds for you.
Oh, good. That was one little piece I was missing.
Yep, and if you guys ever want to have a one-on-one consulting session, just let me know, or check out gspn.tv/webinar. There's a list there for open consulting.
Okay.
And it's a much reduced price on my normal one-on-one consulting, and I would be happy to sit down and show you guys what WordPress looks like and how easy it is.
Okay.
All right. Any other questions?
I think that is good.
All right. Thanks a lot, Vicki.
Thanks a lot, Cliff.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, folks, that was awesome. The very first caller live caller into the podcast Answer Man. And of course, I've been recording live on Ustream most of the afternoon here since Stephanie and Sarah finished up the full-time mom show. And I think I was up on the front page of Ustream for a while. It looks like somebody else is dialing in. So let's see who this is. Okay, so I paused for just a moment and answered the line here. It looks like we have another caller with another question. This is Nicole. And Nicole, you have a question for us. What's going on?
Yes, I want to start my own podcast, but I don't know how to start it, or I know how to start it, but I don't know where to get the microphone and stuff.
Okay. Well, let's see here. First of all, it's very easy to start a podcast. And how old are you, by the way?
I'm 15.
You're 15. Do you have a computer?
Yeah.
Okay. And is it a desktop computer, laptop computer?
It's a desktop.
Okay. And does your desktop computer have a microphone built in already?
Yeah.
Okay. What kind of microphone is it? Is it like built into the monitor, kind of?
Yeah, it's on top of the screen.
Okay. So do you have a Mac computer then?
Yeah.
Okay. Very cool. Well, I will tell you right now, you have everything you need to record a podcast right now, and it won't cost you a single penny.
Okay.
So if you look at your Mac computer and you go and I know there's going to be about 50 people right now that are going to gasp for air when they hear me say this. Okay. But what you can do is you can go down into the menu bar on your Mac, and you should see a little guitar down there. Do you see a little guitar? That is.
Oh yeah, GarageBand.
That's a little program called GarageBand. There's a place for you to go in there and create. It'll say you want to hit File, and then you want to go New, and then you can actually hit Podcast, and there will be a couple different tracks that show up. And what you want to do is you want to delete all of the tracks. You'll find it'll take you a little bit to figure out how to delete all the other tracks. but you want to delete all the tracks that are in there except for the female voice.
Okay.
And then what you'll do is there will be a red button for record, and you simply push that red button and you start talking. And it'll basically record your voice, and it won't cost you anything. You just continue to talk. Say, hi, my name is Nicole. This is my podcast. This is what I'm thinking about talking about. This, and I hope everybody is out there is going to maybe participate by calling in or send me emails. I'd love to interact with you. And then once you're done, you hit that little red button at the bottom, and it'll stop recording. And then you go up to the top, and I think there's a button that says share, and you'll be able to export that as an audio file. And if you have the most recent version of GarageBand, you should be able to export that to an MP3 file, which is what you want to save all your audio files to. And then basically there are some other things, and it gets a little bit more complicated to figure out what to do after that. But that's how you record, and you already have a microphone.
Yeah.
So as far as your initial question, if you want something that sounds a little bit better, because I will tell you that if you use the microphone that's built into your Mac or any of the other really inexpensive microphones that come with computers, it's just going to pick up everything in the room. You're going to hear all kinds of noise and stuff like that. It's not going to sound great. For probably about $39, you can go to Best Buy and pick up a Logitech USB headset with microphone. And that's going to put a microphone pretty much right next to your mouth. And you just plug that in, and you should be able to go into GarageBand, or you can download a program called Audacity, which is free for the Mac as well. And you can download that for free. And you basically go into the settings and change the recording device from the internal or the built-in microphone to the USB microphone that you have plugged in once you get that new headset.
Okay.
And so at 15 years old, my suggestion to you would be the least expensive USB Logitech headset microphone.
Okay.
Does that help you out?
Yeah, and is it okay if I have one more thing to ask?
Absolutely.
Okay. Well, I was wondering, like, after you record it and everything, how do you, like, put it on a podcast? Like,
sure.
Really, like, have it as a podcast?
Well, that is a little bit more intensive. I'll tell you what I'm going to do for you. If you go back, have you ever listened to the podcast Answer Man before?
Yeah.
Okay. Let me just find something real quick here. I'm going to go to podcastanswerman.com, and it's going to take me just 1 second to pull this up. Okay, so I finally found it here. It is episode number 3 of the podcast Answer Man.
Okay, thank you.
It was recorded in January of 2007. And so there are 2 ways that you can find episode number 3 of Podcast Answer Man. One, go to podcastanswerman.com, and if you scroll all the way down on the right-hand side of the menu, just above the archives, there's a search box. You can type in Podcasting 101 into the search box, and it'll pull it up through the search. Look for episode number 3. Or you can go down into the archives and just click on January 2007, and that will pull up all the episodes that are recorded back in January. Just look for episode number 3. It was called Podcasting 101, and that was just the basics. And it'll probably give you about as much as you need to know as far as how things work after you record.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. Thanks for calling in, Nicole.
Okay, and my best friend, oh my gosh, yeah, she loves the Hannah Montana one, and yeah, I think you saw her in the chat room, maybe.
Uh-huh.
But she was wondering where it went. Like, she couldn't find it on iTunes or anything.
It's still there. Matter of fact, if you go to iTunes, just type in Hannah Montana, it should pull right up. And
because like she can see Dead It Be or whatever it's called, but she can't find any others, newer ones.
Yeah, that's because Dead It Be was the last episode that we recorded. Megan and I have we're trying to figure out when we're going to start recording those again. Our schedule got a little bit crazy here. A lot of things happened recently, so we are working on rescheduling that. I'm almost positive we're going to be back to recording it here shortly, but I think we're not going to record it live. It's going to be something that we do in-house, and basically just the two of us after we watch an episode, and then we're going to start releasing those once again. And so I would say within the next week and a half, you'll start getting new episodes of Hannah Montana.
Okay, thank you so much.
You're welcome, Nicole. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. You're very patient.
All right. Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Alrighty, so folks, I just want to say thank you for participating in the podcast Answer Man here, and it's been cool to take some live calls. In fact, I may play around with doing this format more often. It's kind of neat to have the live calls. But with that, I think I'm going to go ahead and end this episode. And if you guys want to ask some questions, of course, you can do it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week by calling area code 859-795-4067. Again, that phone number is area code 859-795-4067. Of course, there is a place over on our forum. If you go to gspn.tv/forum, you can ask your questions there. There's not only I that will answer your questions, but there are other wonderful podcasters that are hanging out in the Podcast Answer Man section of the forum. And so we encourage you to check that out. And of course, we want to thank Evan Agee at ageedesign.com for making this episode available to you guys. And if you guys need any kind of artwork or anything like that, go to ageedesign.com/podcast. Mention our show and you'll get 20% off any work he does for you. I know some of you guys are just getting started out in podcasting, but one day you're going to find out that you want to move a little bit further into this thing. And when you do, you're going to want your website to look nice, and you're going to want to get a professional looking logo and some great artwork for your MP3 file. In fact, if there's anything I want to suggest that you contact Evan for today, is the artwork. I subscribe to podcasts on my iPhone, and on my iPhone, I basically scroll up and down to see what episodes I want to listen to. And you will not believe the number of episodes, podcast episodes that I've downloaded that I'm subscribed to, where the person who puts out the podcast has not put any artwork on their MP3 file. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I want to encourage you to do me this favor. Go to MP3 tag. Let me see if I can get the right website here for you. Not there. Let me go ahead and click help about MP3 tag. It is mp3tag.de. mp3tag.de. It is a free program for you to download for the Windows platform, and you open it up, and what it allows you to do is search for the list of MP3 files that you have on your computer. You find it, you highlight it, and then you're able to add a title, an artist name, an album name, and a genre to your podcast. And if you look down in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll see there's a place for you to add artwork. You just right-click and you hit what's called Add Cover. And then you're going to have a 300 by 300 pixel piece of artwork that is a description, that is a visual representation of your podcast. So if you are watching the podcast Answer Man or listening to it on your iPod, chances are if you have a screen, you see a picture of me and it says Podcast Answer Man. That's my cover artwork. And you can see that it looks very professionally done. In fact, the image that I have there is the cartoon image. I paid a good deal of money to have that produced because I wanted something that represented professionalism. Because of course, I do podcasting, new media, full time as a profession, and I wanted people, to see, that I take pride in the work and the everything that I do. And as you get more detailed and more committed to your podcast, you're going to want to do that as well. And of course, it's very affordable. If you go to podcastanswerman.com, or not podcast, go to ageedesign.com/podcast. You will see how inexpensive it is for you to get yourself a 300 by 300 piece of artwork from Evan. Mention my name, you get 20% off, and I encourage you to do that this week if you haven't done so already. So with that, folks, thank you for listening. I'm going to hit this little button here, and I'm going to tell you, you can call in your questions for the Podcast Answer Man at area code 859-795-4067. And of course, if you guys want, if you're looking for equipment or anything like that, go to podcastanswerman.com/packages. And of course, if you are listening to this and you're benefiting from the content here, consider becoming a Plus member over at gspn.tv/plus. Thanks a lot.